I think Trevor Lawrence is a very fascinating player. He's someone who is currently tied for 7th best MVP odds, which certainly seems a bit surprising, I would say. You look at his Pro Football Focus grades in year 1 and year 2, you definitely saw that sophomore jump, if you will, in year 2. Really a great season. 78 grade is very good, and I think that most people are going to say, oh, well, yeah, he got rid of Urban Meyer, and he just, that's all that had to happen. I think he legitimately just got better as well. I think that, getting rid of Urban Meyer certainly helps, but I do think there was a legitimate, factor in him just getting better. He was the 11th overall graded Pro Football Focus player, and so the hope is that he can continue to grow, get better, and become an MVP candidate next year. And listen, it's totally possible. There's a lot of expectations on him, but it's not crazy that something like that could happen. If you look at his Pro Football Focus grades per game, which every now and then people ask me, how do I get this stuff? You pay for the PFF service, you get this stuff, which this isn't a plug or anything. This isn't a promo, but I do recommend it. I think if you're a big football fan like me, like I'm sure a lot of you are, a lot of great stuff on there. But regardless, you see the grades game in and game out. There was a bit of fluctuation, and early on, really kind of the first 8 weeks of the season or so, it wasn't spectacular. They were not overly impressed with him, but it was really that middle stretch, kind of from weeks 9 to weeks 15, that he really played his best football. He also had a great game, according to them, or at least a very good game, in the divisional round against Kansas City. One other thing to note is going to be the game that we're going to watch most of the film that we talk about today which is that first playoff game, the one where he seemingly turned the ball over left and right. You notice that PFF does not have him with a terrible grade in that game, and I actually agree with PFF. I think that, well, yes, you could look at the box score and think that he played disastrous. Box scores can be very misleading, which is why I tend to, I'll use them like everyone else does, but I definitely try to make sure I use them with context. But okay, let's get into some film. Let's talk about first the negatives that happened. Because, I want to start off by saying a lot of those interceptions early on were fluky. A lot of, a couple tip passes. There was one that should have been a penalty that wasn't called. I'm not going to hold those against Lawrence. But there were still some issues in this game. And it's just this season that we've seen against Trevor Lawrence. And I should mention that, one of the things that I had a bit of a concern with Lawrence coming out of college, we all knew he was a great prospect, but he did have some issues, as does every prospect, no matter how great you are. And his issues were a lot of that Clemson offense really was kind of, screen pass, fake a screen pass, and throw the ball deep. And so because of that, he kind of, game moved a little quick for him year 1, I thought, in the NFL. And while it certainly slowed down in year 2, there still are some moments where he kind of will make some rookie mistakes. The way this play is designed to work is eventually the route that Lawrence is going to throw to. It's just going to be an underneath route. Very safe route to try to get you a few yards. It's third down. You're trying to get to the 24-yard line. That's all you're trying to do here. But again, if you're Lawrence, you have to understand that the defense also knows the situation. The defense knows that there's a very real chance all you're going to be trying to do here is get to the 24-yard line. So when Lawrence takes the snap, he is going to look over, and at this point right here, there is, there's a way you can try to make this throw work. But again, people are playing aggressive right here. You have Asante Samuel Jr., who's going to be playing aggressive on this play, because why not? He knows where you're going with the football. He knows what you're probably trying to do here. So it's a bit too predictable, and these are the kind of things you do need your quarterback to learn. Lawrence does not pick it up, and he ends up throwing the interception instead, which, listen, it's a good defensive play. I'm not going to crush Lawrence for it, but there were still some, the way I would phrase it is young player errors in his, it's not a rookie mistake because he's not a rookie anymore, but there were still some rookie-like mistakes, which, again, is to be expected. If he came in right away and was awesome, it'd be weird. This next play, you could argue either way, really, if this is a good play or a bad play, or, it's not a good play. I can't argue that, but you could argue if it's kind of a bad play or if it's more of a fluky play. But the way it's designed to work is it's zone coverage, and they have a route that's going to get into a gap in coverage that Lawrence wants to look towards. Right when this play begins, you're seeing that it's not going to look to be in a great situation right here. But again, we have to talk about the entire situation, not just what the play is, but, what's the down and distance, where are you on the field? They need to get to the 40-yard line for a first down. So while, yes, there are some checkdowns available, one towards the top of the screen that maybe, could break a tackle, get a first down. It's possible. It's not a disastrous situation, but you want the first down. And especially given where you are on the field, you're kind of in that situation where if it's 4th and 10 at the 50-yard line, are you really going to go for it? Doug Peterson likes to be aggressive. I think he punts in that scenario. But that doesn't mean that you can't maybe take a chance or two. And I actually would say, I think I would, I'm not sure. You could ask me on a different day. I might say something different. But as of right now, my opinion is I don't hate trying to make this throw. See if your receiver can win and make something happen. It doesn't work out, ends up backfiring, actually gets the interception there. But again, the interception cost you just, 20 yards of field position right there. You'll live with that if you're Trevor Lawrence. I think the real thing with Lawrence is he is a player who trusts his receivers. He believes his receivers can make stuff happen. That's just how he plays the game of football. And so getting a guy like Calvin Ridley next year should do wonders, I think, and could maybe help out with these things and turn those chances that he takes that don't work out into chances that do work out. And again, you see him make some just incredible throws. I mean, you really do. I think that he will look like a young player at times. There's no denying the physical tools that he has. And I think he still understands the game of football. He does. He's not like a dumb player who can only make, throws if there's easy reads. Like, this is a good example where the way this play is designed to work is there's supposed to be a receiver who's going to eventually get into a gap in coverage here. Right when this play begins, you see that there's a Chargers player covering over the middle of the field. So if Lawrence wants to make this throw, it's going to be a bit difficult. But watch how Lawrence makes this. Really watch the touch and watch the placement. That's what I want you to pay attention to. Watch how it's not a bullet, but he gets it there relatively quickly, and he also puts it right in the spot where his receiver can go up and make a play to a spot where, again, it's kind of simple for veterans, but not so simple for rookies. Throw it to where throw it to the gap in coverage. Don't throw it to where you have a receiver. When you're going up against zone, you got to play the defense. Throw it to where the defense is and not throw it to where your receiver is, or throw it to, in this case, throw it to where your receiver is going to be as well. Pay attention to that stuff. It's a really good play. Also, something like this, I think, is a good example of just why Lawrence, I think one thing about him is he doesn't have to make his reads that quickly because of his arm talent. Guys with better arm talent make better decisions. That's something I say pretty frequently on this channel, and I think this play is going to be a great example of it. The way it's designed to work, it's a one-on-one matchup to Christian Kirk on the outside. That's what they're doing here. Lawrence is going to take the snap, and look at how long Lawrence waits to make this throw. Look at how, Kirk has cut at this point, but Lawrence has still not even thought about getting rid of the football. If this is Case Keenum, this is just, the play's over. You can't make that throw. But it's not Case Keenum. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence here. Watch as Lawrence is going to push the ball down the field, and they pick up a good chunk play and are able to continue to move the ball down the field. So, listen, while there are some issues on Lawrence's tape, I think there's plenty of reason to believe he will continue to get better, and there's a lot he does really well already. He's already a good quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. One of the reasons why I'm always a little bit wary of just crowning the next big thing just yet is I think people love the more interesting story. They love the next best thing more than just the current best thing. So I'm not willing to sit here and say that Lawrence is going to be elite next year just because we don't know. It's so hard to project with young quarterbacks. There are still issues I see on his tape, and while I think that he will fix them, you can't say anything for certain when it comes to quarterbacks. I think anyone who's watched quarterbacks long enough knows that there is no such thing as a sure thing there. Once a player is good, you more or less can assume they will continue to be good, and he is already good, but until he's elite, I want to keep him in the good category. But could he be elite next year? Yeah. I mean, if you ask me who do I think has the best chance of making a jump from being a good quarterback to a great one next year, he's probably number one on that list. But yeah, that's just kind of how I view it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.